Testing, testing.
Serves him right.
Okay. Yeah, called the meeting to order at 2:07 p.m. And hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Committee of Adjustments meeting. I'm Melinda McGregor, the chair for the committee. To my right, we have Frank Bruni, and to my left, we have Joseph Greco. I'd also like to introduce you to Nicholas from Planning and Michelle Kelly, our Secretary Treasurer. Michelle?
Madam Chair, begin with land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawating. Bawating is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Madam Chair, if I could have a motion for the minutes of July 19.
So can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Frank, and all in favor?
Thank you. Madam Chair, Member Greco wishes to declare an indirect pecuniary interest in tab number 5 on your agenda, being application B 2223. The applicant is 285245 for Ontario Inc. Member Greco is citing employer-employee conflict and will vacate the chambers at that time
Tab 3.
at 3.
Yeah.
Seeing no other declaration, if we could move to item 1 on your agenda, being an application from David Perpelia. He's the owner of part of Section 8, former Township of Tarantoris, being Part 2 of 1R115447, municipally identified as 828 Fifth Line East. It is located on the north side of Fifth Line East, approximately 97 meters east of its intersection with Schultz Side Road. The subject property is designated rural area in the official plan and is zoned rural area. The applicant is seeking the committee's consent to sever the northerly 25 meters by 80 meters approximately from the subject property and attach it to the westerly abutting property municipally identified as 34 Schultz Road. The retained land will be approximately 1.22 hectares in size. The intent of the application is to convey the proposed severed portion as a lot addition. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties, by posting a sign on site, and by posting on the city website. The following internal departments and external agencies received an invitation to comment. No concerns were raised that would preclude this application from moving forward. Algoma Public Health had no objections. Bell Canada had right-of-way had no comments. Building Division and Conservation Authority did not respond. Engineering and Construction, no comment. Fire Services, no comment. Legal Department, no comment. Planning Division had no objections and said land use issues are not anticipated. PUC Distribution Inc. Electric and Water Utilities had no concerns. During the pre-application consultation with the agent and spouse of the applicant, she advised that there are ski trails throughout the proposed severed parcel which connect to abutting trails. As owners of 34 Schultz Side Road, their continued access to these trails would be protected with this conveyance. There's no evidence to date that would suggest approval would have a negative impact. Recommended conditions of any approval are provide the proposed transfer deed of land for certificate of official, lot addition clause, consolidation of properties, certificate application fee, reference plan, PIN abstract, and a PIN map. Minor variance application where required. That's a customary condition, and I don't anticipate it will be required here, but the survey will identify it if it is. Discharge of charge or mortgage, partial discharge of charge or mortgage, and payment of taxes. And Madam Chair, those are my submissions.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And since they're here to speak to the application,
Madam Chair, I would just advise that the agent is out of town, but she is available by phone if anyone has a question.
okay. So do the committee members have any questions? Okay. Okay, we'll close the discussion and I'll ask for a motion.
The favor application.
Thank you, Joseph.
I'll second that one.
Thank you, Frank, and all in favor? Okay, so motion carried.
Here.
Okay.
Secretary, some members, we're cold outside today. Stop.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies.
So we move to tab 2 on your agenda, which is application B 2123, an application from Stephanie Christie and Andrew Sullivan, who own 251 Glasgow Avenue. It is located on the northwest corner of Glasgow Avenue and Wallace Terrace. The subject property is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned R2 single unit residential. The applicant is seeking the committee's consent to sever the northerly parcel fronting on Glasgow Avenue. The proposed lot configuration is frontage of 20.06 meters on Glasgow Avenue, a depth of 36.6 meters, and an area of approximately 734.78 square meters for one parcel. The other parcel would be 16.5 meters on Glasgow Avenue, a depth of 36.6 meters, an approximate area of 603.90 square meters. Both meet the zoning bylaw regulations. The intent of the application is to create one additional residential lot. Notice of public hearing sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and by posting on the city's website. The following internal departments and external agencies received an invitation to comment. No concerns were raised that would preclude this application from moving forward. Algoma Public Health had no objections. Bell Canada Right of Way, no concerns or comments. Building Division, no objection. Conservation Authority, no objection, but a site plan review will be required. Engineering Construction, no comment. Fire Services, no comment. Legal Department, no comment. Planning Division had no concerns. PUC Electric had no concerns. Public Utilities Commission for Water, no concerns with severance. A new dedicated water service will be required when the new lot is developed, so that to be added as a condition. It's just an advisement. Public Works had no comments or concerns. There's been no evidence to date to suggest that approval would have any adverse impact. Customary conditions attached to requests of this nature are transfer deed of land, a parks levy payment, certificate application fee, reference plan, PIN abstract and PIN map, minor variance application, discharge of charge or mortgage, partial discharge of charge or mortgage, whichever fits, and payment of taxes. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Since there's no application or no applicant in the audience, I'd like to ask committee members if they have any questions for Michelle.
Nope.
Nope. With that, I think we'll close the discussion. Anybody has any comments before we put forth a motion? Okay. I ask for a motion. Thank you, Joe.
I'll say.
Second by Anthony. Conditions. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carried.
I'll note that Mr. Greco has left chambers for tab 3 on our agenda, which is an application from application number B2223, an application from 2852454 Ontario Inc. This is a validation of title request. The subject property is 305 Conmee Avenue. The applicant has made application for validation of title pursuant to section 57(1) of the Planning Act for the continued use of PIN 315710585 and PIN 315710492 as a distinct property. The original transfer of PIN 315710585 being parts 2 and 3 on Plan 13777 was not consolidated with PIN 315710492 being Lot 7 prior to a change in title in the title of Lot 7 and thereby constitutes an inadvertent breach of the Act. The intent of the application is to incur the breach by recognizing the transfers of parts 2 and 3 to common title with Lot 7 and the subsequent consolidation of the two PINs as was intended by the Committee of Adjustment decision. Section 57(1) of the Planning Act allows the committee the ability to issue certificates which state that a prior contravention of the subdivision control provisions of the Act are deemed to have never had the effect of preventing the conveyance of land or the creation of an interest in land. Simply put, a validation certificate corrects a Planning Act breach or breaches that have already occurred. It turns back the clock to refuse the chain of title. On April 27th, 2023, PIN 315710492 was purchased from Soapy's by 2852454 Ontario Inc. Since registration, it was determined that this transfer was in contravention of the Planning Act and constitutes a breach of the said Act. Soapy's Auto Wash applied for consent under application B521 and obtained approval to sever parts 2, 3, 1R13777 being PIN 315710585 from the westerly abutting property and attach it to the northerly abutting property identified as 305 Conmee Avenue as a lot addition. The title was taken in the name of Soapy's Auto Wash. The transfer took place on June 22nd, 2021, under instrument AL 230209. A condition of the consent was that these properties be consolidated and that subsection 53 or 5 of the act apply. Through inadvertence, the consolidation did not take place. To correct this, the title to PIN 315710585 was transferred from Soapy's Auto Wash Limited to 2852454 Ontario Inc. on August 10th, 2023 as instrument number 268246 and consolidated with PIN 315710492 on August 10th, 2023 as instrument AL 268248. This transfer of this property did not contain the consent of the committee under the predecessor of Section 50 of the Planning Act and thereby constitutes a breach of the said act. In summary, this application is to correct Planning Act breaches, 2 of which that have already occurred and validate the applicant's title to the property. Ontario Regulation 14495 requires the validation certificate to conform but not comply with any applicable official plan, zoning bylaw, or ministerial zoning order. Without the ability to obtain a validation certificate, the applicant would be required to apply for a consent to resever the property and then consolidate. The result would be the same. The question of unnecessary costs, the burden of addressing oversight, and fairness should be considered in assessing whether the committee should grant a validation certificate. Considerations are conditions to be applied but not limited to any approval are payment of certificate fees, provision of applicable transfer documents, payment of municipal taxes, and submission of current PIN abstract and PIN map. And those are my submissions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And we don't have anybody obviously in the gallery here to speak on the matter. So I will ask if the committee members have any questions for Michelle. That will close the discussion and ask for any comments. If not, I'll ask for a motion. Okay. Perfect, thank
The
you.
conditions as stipulated.
Thank you, Anthony.
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. And all in favor? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes our hearing for today. If I could have a motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment by Anthony, second by Frank, and all in favor. So
Thank you.
call you back.
Good.